Google. Let's go get him again.
Welcome back to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host Mark, and welcome to your Sampling Samples Sunday. Every Sunday we sample. Absolutely love my weekends as I tend to discover new brands and new fragrances. Today we are going to be sampling from the brand of by Kilian. Not a brand that's new to me. I own at least a dozen of their fragrances. This time it's their coffee-based release called Intoxicated. This was part of their Addictive State of Mind collection, which was basically chopped up and it was scrapped, and now this one is part of the Bois de Cave collection. This one is highly compared to the famed Angel Men by Mugler, which is one of my favorite designer scents of all time. So we're going to see how this stacks up. Is it worth that extra price tag for a niche version of Angel Men? Is it really that? As far as coffee-based fragrances, I'm going to let you know, because this is a really popular fragrance. This fragrance right here from an indie brand, Kerosene, is called Follow. This is the staple coffee-based fragrance for me, my number one. It smells like you're just walking into a Starbucks. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't smelt it, you kind of have to. Now let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on Intoxicated. Release date was back in 2014, so it has some years behind it. Concentrations eau de parfum. The nose, Callus Becker. Now the notes in this fragrance, the big notes, the thing that really surprised me with this fragrance is cardamom is a major player. It is the primary note in this release, not coffee, cardamom. So that surprised me quite a bit. Coffee is one of the notes, and then cinnamon. So it's spice laden, in my personal opinion, as a fragrance. So let's sniff out, let's basically finish off my little lucky scent sample here of Intoxicated. It is my scent of the day. I'm actually wearing it, and we are launching this now. Launched. So this one, uncanny. This one starts off exactly how Angel Men starts off. Gourmand, dark, mysterious. It has obviously some gourmand tendencies. It has some chocolatey facets. It has some coffee facets. It has some green facets. This has all of them. Now, I slowly started picking this one apart, and I noticed that the idea is the same between this and Angel Men, but the construction is very, very different. I see that it was, I don't know, I feel like inspired by. I don't think, if you smell them side by side, you'll see the resemblance. And the note breakdown in this release, at least from what has been published for Intoxicated, seems a little light, in my opinion. So I'm going to add some phantom notes, or notes that I get out of this fragrance. What it opens up with, now the major player in here is the cardamom, and it opens up with it. And it shows, first of all, a sharp hint of lemon. There's a lemony brightness to this fragrance right off the bat. You'll miss it if you blink, but it's there. Now everyone speaks about the scent being all about coffee, and I get you. I feel you. I know what you're talking about. I don't fault them for that, but the central theme here for me is the spices. It's like everything that's going to surround this Turkish coffee idea is what is the major idea. Mainly the central note in here is cardamom. Now the cardamom is central in this release, and it will last all the way throughout this set. So you're not going to lose the cardamom note. The cardamom is three-dimensional. It shows some aromatic freshness, of course, with that lemon portion up top that I talked about. That goes real quick. It goes green, of course. There's some spicy nuances here. The cardamom here at times smells almost pine-like. So you may almost trick yourself, like the lemony pine type of smell comes out here, and it makes you kind of think of woods a little bit in here. There's a nutty aspect in here as well, multifaceted basically. Cinnamon comes into play as well, so another spice here. Nutmeg, which is also fairly pronounced. They're all in here, and all these spices are things that you would perhaps add to a coffee or a tea. And that's the main ideology here of Intoxicated, as that you really feel these spices with the cardamom front and center. The coffee note, let's talk about that. The coffee note, it's hard to make. I'm not going to say it's hard to make, but there's not too many authentic coffee-based scents. They really are, a lot of them synthetic based, and like Follow is one of the rare fragrances that I've smelt, and I'm like, wow, this note is highly synthetic in here. They call it a Turkish coffee, but it highly reminds me of Angel Men's coffee, which also has a chocolatey patchouli backing it. This also has that. The coffee, would I dare call it a high secondary note in this release. It lingers around the central theme, but never is the central theme in this release, personally. Now, once you start getting more into the mid, the green nuances start showing more. I felt a caramel-like lavender note in this set. Not listed. Lavender is not listed as a note in this fragrance, but it reminded me a lot of the lavender, or the use of lavender in New Harlem by Bond Number 9, which Maurice Roussel penned. He does this trick with his gourmand lavenders, and this is the exact same trick I'm smelling in here. And it gives the scent that sweetness, but it also kind of gives that, and this is why maybe some people smell soapiness in the scent, is because of the lavender note. It's well hidden between the gourmand tendencies, just like Roussel does with his, but to me it's more molasses-like, and it's not like very, like in Bond Number 9's New Harlem, it smells more like maple syrup. Here it's almost like Michael Jordan Legend kind of thing, where it has that lavender molasses like backing. Very nicely done, but it has that mixture of those type of fragrances. Also, another note that's not listed, but it is in the press package of the photo that I utilized for my thumbnail. Actually, there's a vanilla pod going through, and it's not listed as a note, but vanilla is a note in here. It really helps that ambery glow in the back end of this release. But at the end of the day, it's mostly spices and coffee that dominate throughout. There's more than the listed notes show, and this is why it's compared to Angel Men, which is a highly complex scent. This is on the same realm, even though the imagery is not really that complex. It has a lot of moving parts. To note, you don't have a tar-like appeal like Angel Men, so it doesn't have those rough edges. It seems like, honestly, to be honest, the blend is fantastic in this. There is no rough edges in here. And the imagery is also well put together in regards to what I felt from Angel Men to this. I feel like I'm drinking a syrupy Turkish coffee, you know, something a little more, has a little more depth to it, with the cardamom splash, little nutmeg, cinnamon added to it, and almost like a chocolatey feel to the fragrance, so to the Turkish coffee, we'll say. So it has interesting appeal to it. And this seems all very much dense and heavy, but it's not. Overall, it's a less dense Angel Men. It's cleaned up. It brings up versatility, wearability, obviously. This is more of a cardamom-based scent than a coffee-based one, in my opinion, but they do share that spotlight in this release. Gourmand, yet kind of professional in the same way. Not too childish, definitely not childish. Maybe a little more mature. Just right, actually. Well done. Now let's get into Seasons, Day, Night, Versatility, and Performance. Seasons, I feel like this one, you just want to say fall and winter and end it. I feel like winter, fall, and it could extend itself into the spring and summer nights. Nighttime, if you got a little bit of coolness there, perfect. I feel like this could be almost all seasons in the right degrees, I guess. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a nighttime scent, but I could see this being worn casually during the day, on a weekend, something like that. Versatility, fairly average. I don't see any restrictions in this release. Of course, you know, gourmand fragrances, it is gourmand. It's just like a lot of by Kilians that they just toe the line a little bit, and it will hurt the versatility just a little bit. Maybe you want something a little more serious in your fragrance, depending. Performance, longevity was good, 8 to 10 hours. No complaints here, not a bomb, and the projection's fairly moderate. So this one stays on the skin a little bit more, so people do have to come a little closer to you. It's not a bomb at all. So my final thoughts on this one is that Kilian did really well here with the idea. It's not a new idea, and I feel like it stole lots from Roussel, Kilian, from the New Harlem to the Angel Men DNA, made it less dense, less sweet, and just about right. Not the most unique idea, but a good one nonetheless. I do like it. And it's right on the cusp of being bottle worthy for me. These by Kilian prices are pretty pricey. You know, you're only getting 50 mils. So this won't be a 10 out of 10 for me. I still like my Angel Men. I like that it projects. I like the rough edges of it, actually. I like that tar-like appeal. Those are things that I really enjoy, and that makes that fragrance actually special. The patchouli in that is much more pronounced. Yeah. So the brand has better releases in my opinion as far as by Kilian goes, but this is no slouch. It's actually a very solid release, and I understand why its old collection, most of them got axed, and this one actually was brought into a new collection so they could keep it. If I had to give it a score currently out of 10, I would give it 8 bottles out of 10. Like I said, it's on the cusp of being bottle worthy, and that's right where I put fragrances that I'm like, maybe. A good 8 out of 10 out of Intoxicated. A solid release. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below, good or bad. As you know, I'd love, agree, disagree, tell me what you smell out of this, maybe something a little different than I did. Absolutely love seeing those comments below. And as always, a greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your coffee-based fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube.